Good evening, Superintendent, Commissioners. I'm here to help frame the conversation around when you guys start talking about Parapay with the upcoming contract negotiations. I'm just here to lend my support to paraprofessionals. I've been one for the last 5 years. I'm a family liaison at Bryant Elementary School in the Mission District. And as such, I'm privy to many of the stories that students and their families hold around our city's affordability crisis. Many of the families I work with are already marginalized due to their immigration status, their language capacity, and their limited income. So these issues already make for a stressful existence, but with the recent affordable housing crisis, our families are further concerned that they will be displaced from their homes due to speculative landlords. One thing we know about children is when they feel anxious due to social issues outside of their control, it gets in the way of their ability to self-regulate and focus, which keeps them from learning. While dealing with the impact of secondary trauma has always been a part of the work in our school communities, our city's second .com boom has intensified the distress amongst our most vulnerable. All our staff is working harder than ever to address the immediate needs of our students who are suffering the fallout from our city's economic crisis. Our teachers hold together classrooms of kids distracted and escalated by these social inequities, redirecting them to the content of lessons that must sometimes seem to kids less urgent than where they're going to sleep next month or next week or tonight. Right? Our special education paras focus on the students they're there to support and address the behavioral challenges of many others who've come to school upset due to the socioeconomic stressors at home. And family liaisons like me try to meet the needs of our families by connecting them to resources and offering them classes and events that build their capacity and in turn their social leverage. Actually, we're holding an event next Wednesday that squarely addresses the housing crisis for families in the Mission District, and you all are very cordially invited. So every day, all educators are working their hardest to ensure that students have a safe and a happy place in which to learn. And we endure kicks in the shins from kids who 20 minutes earlier ran up to give us hugs. And we tell parents the hard truths about their children's behavior and their academic progress. And often, we come under fire for that honesty. And we defend the difficult choices that some of our parents have made to members of our community who profess to know better. And we do this understanding that it's a great privilege to serve our children. We do this because we absolutely love our kids.
I think your time is up. And your name, please?
My name is Claudia de Larios Moran.
Thank you very much.
And if I could just summarize in one sentence, I would say that paraprofessionals are almost entirely in the same boat as a lot of the families that we serve. And if SF Unified is truly about equity, as we so profess, and I'm so appreciative of that, then we need to extend that when we're looking at contracts for paraprofessionals in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, she just led the way for what I have to say. My name is Mary Lavallee. I'm a proud paraprofessional. I don't want to be a classroom teacher. I like what I do. I was born and raised here in the city, but unfortunately, I've been pushed out of the city. So I had to move to Daly City, and then from there I had to downsize even more and move to an in-law apartment in South San Francisco. I've had to take money out of my retirement twice in order to live for the summer and to get a car so that I could get around. And so when she talks about the children, that extends also to the workers. We love our kids. We love our job. Obviously we do, or we wouldn't have stayed in it as long as we have without getting a raise in 8 years. I want you to think about yourself and your jobs. When's the last time you got a raise? In 8 years, my rent had doubled. And I just recently had to move from Daly City from a nice apartment to an in-law, which I'm thankful for, but it wasn't my choice. So now I'm out of San Francisco, away from the children and the neighborhood that I grew up in. I lived in Visitation Valley. I lived in Sunnydale housing projects. Yes, I needed to move, but I didn't want to move away from the children and the families that I've known all my life. So here we are. We're at the point of where we can, as adults, live what we preach to our children. We preach equity. We need to show them how to be equitable by giving the paraprofessionals a raise. I'm only one para of 1,600, but I know plenty of others that could have been here today stating how they have lost the place to live. So I just urge you to support paraprofessionals in this. Remember, 8 years without a raise. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary.
Mr. Superintendent, Madam President, members of the Board of Education, I'm Dennis Kelly. I'm President of the United Educators of San Francisco. You heard Mary and you heard Claudia, and you may not know Claudia very well. Mary, you've seen around here for quite a while, and you probably know her good work. Claudia just recently put together the Literacy and Employment Night at Bryant. She worked with the mayor's office, with Supervisor Campos, with us, with the school district, in order to put together something that was incredibly innovative and well received. This is the kind of work that folks do. Once again, we need to make the point that teachers and paras cannot afford to live in San Francisco. If you hadn't seen the story of the Morgan Traverso family that's in the paper there was an article in the Chronicle, but also this is the Teachers Union paper where we also carried that story. If you've not heard the testimony from Buena Vista Horace Mann's Norman Zelaya about what happened when he was burned out and suddenly had to find a new place, I urge you to look it up and hear it. Tonight you've heard from two of our paraprofessionals who not only cannot buy a home in San Francisco, they can no longer really afford to rent an apartment in our city. We've had another para in our office just today who is homeless and is trying to balance his responsibilities to children with the need to simply survive. The median home in San Francisco now costs $925,000. The median home. Apartments are soaring into more than $3,000. The average teacher makes $62,000. The average paraprofessional makes $25,000. Housing can easily take up all the money a para can make. Easily half if they're careful. A teacher contributing 40% of his or her income can afford less than half what the median home costs, $450,000. Teachers and paras who have to commute spend less time working with the families of our children. We are here tonight to say that the people who do the work must be a priority for you as an employer. We urge you to take every opportunity to make it possible for them to live where they work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Public comment out.